Okay, I figure you know and love Chainsaw Man, and I do too, but the mangaka of Chainsaw Man, Fujimoto Tatsuki, earned his stripes drawing another series, Fire Punch, and is quite respected for his memorable manga one-shots. If you don't know, one-shots are like the manga equivalent of short stories. They usually tell a complete story and can span from a chapter to the length of a volume. They can also serve as a test run for the jumping off point of a serialization if they are successful enough. Fujimoto Sensei had written a ton of them before starting the serialization of Chainsaw Man, so much so that there's even a compilation called Fujimoto Tatsuki Before Chainsaw Man. Actually, I think there are two of them. But you can tell he truly has a passion for telling stories, because even while releasing Chainsaw Man, Fujimoto Sensei released wildly popular one-shots called Look Back and Goodbye Eri. I heard about both of these manga a few years back through Trash Taste if I remember correctly, but I held off on reading both with the hopes of them getting animated after Chainsaw Man was such a success. I'm still waiting on Goodbye Eri, but thankfully, Look Back was released in June of 2024 in Japan, and it just got its US release in October 2024, so I bought my ticket as early as possible to secure a seat for this highly anticipated film, and boy, did that anticipation pay off. Look Back tells the story of two elementary school students and their love for creating manga. I really don't want to say much more because this is a movie you gotta go see, but here are some of my thoughts of the movie. Beginning with the good things, just one random thing that really set a good impression for this film was that it begins and ends, once you get there, with at least a 2 to 3 minute still shot of the back of a character at a desk. They're just working on their manga, but you don't even see that when you first see them. You literally just see their back, you see their room a little bit, just a flat still shot. This 2 to 3 minutes just with some music, but it works. Usually you think a scene like this might be a little boring, maybe it dragged on too long, but this one really worked to set the atmosphere, and then after the events of everything that happens, it really serves as a good bookend to this film. So I just want to give it its credit for taking such a bold artistic choice there and nailing it. Another bonus I want to give this film is that it genuinely made my heart sink at points, and that's not something that happens often with me. The story is so simple, yet so captivating, and I was extremely invested in the characters that I knew for less than an hour. The film had a really short runtime, so it was impressive that it got this much depth out of the characters in such little amount of time. A big part of that was the seamless passage of time in the film. It spanned almost 15 years in the context of the movie, but it never felt too fast paced. You would think jumping 15 years in an hour of actual runtime would be quite a lot, but the way that they turn the seasons over while they're working on the manga, it really shows you that an artist can really get lost in their world and let time fly, and that's not a bad thing. So I think the movie actually did a really good job with that. And no glaze, but Fujimoto Sensei might actually be a genius. I need to read Fire Punch. I'm going to hold off and hope Goodbye Eri gets animated. But this movie is really, really good. And then Chainsaw Man, already know. You guys already know about Chainsaw Man, so no need for me to get into that. But having multiple bangers like that, that's impressive. And he has many more one-shots that I haven't even read, so maybe this guy might just truly be the genius that a lot of people think he is. And speaking of his other works, there were actually some cool references to Chainsaw Man in this film. It's nothing crazy, it's kind of subtle, but at the same time, it'd be hard to miss them if you know Chainsaw Man. So that was cool as well. I appreciated that. And on the more technical side, I'm no expert on any of these things, but the art style is quite unique and unrefined, but in the best way possible, which allows it to jump between styles and to depict the manga within the story as their own worlds, because the story is about manga, so we're going to see these manga, but then they took the artistic choice, which I assume was in the manga as well, which I haven't read, to show these manga as their own animated worlds. And that was super cool because they're very distinct and not at all like the main story's art style. So I thought that was really impressive. And jumping from art style, we're going to go to the music, which was hauntingly beautiful, and it played over scenes of youthful joy but also of tragic nostalgia. And I think the way it kind of carries itself over those two distinct but also overlapping feelings was really impressive, and it gave me chills at points, but it also kind of felt like home at the same time. It's hard to explain, but the use of silence in contrast was really masterfully done. The silence felt louder than the music at times, and I think that was really impressive, the points in which they decided to make this movie deadly silent, because it really stood out in those moments of awkwardness or tension, and I thought that was really impressive as well. And like the Dan movie, which I also made a video about, you can go check that out, there were interviews with the director and the main voice actresses, but after the movie this time as opposed to before. So it was cool to see the behind the scenes and the intentions after already seeing it for myself. And I had my own assumptions, but then seeing what they were actually thinking, it was cool to have slight contrast, but also comparison. So I appreciated that. But I also think they needed to add that because I think the movie itself is less than an hour, and I think they needed something to boost the runtime so it could actually be shown in American theaters. So that was cool though. I appreciated that. Now onto the bad things. I won't really say it's like a bad thing. I just called the section that. But the only issue I had was that the ending was kind of abrupt. That's more from the side of me that hopes for more defined endings. In reality, this ending was good enough as it was the more grounded and realistic way to conclude the events of the movie. So I'm not actually mad at it, but I thought I'd point that out. But overall, I thought the story reflected a lot of Fujimoto Sensei himself. And if you look into his life and then you look into this movie, there's some similarities there. Obviously, it's not based on a true story, so I'm not going to say it's one-to-one or anything like that, but I thought it was really cool seeing some of those parallels, especially like with the one-shots and things like that. And I recently made a video on a manga called Kakunaru Ue wa, which I know you haven't seen because I'm the only viewer on it, so go check it out if you like stories about mangaka. But similarly to that manga, this movie is something that I'm seeing at the right time in my life because it's really about creators and artists. This movie shows that when you truly love something, especially something like creating, it doesn't take much to reignite that fire inside you, and this might just be the spark that I needed, because Look Back is a devastatingly beautiful love letter to creators. But that's enough waffling. Check out Look Back if you get the chance. But thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments, have you seen Look Back? Did it come to a theater near you? And also let me know if you read the manga, and if so, your thoughts on it and your thoughts on the movie, having already read the manga. But if you have even 5 seconds to spare, it'd help a lot if you liked, subscribed, and all the other good stuff. There should be a new video out same time next week. See ya.